Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what even to say about this except for I rest my case. So I called my Senator Mike Lee while we were on the radio last hour, and I had read that they had canceled all votes and that sessions were shut down in Congress. And my whole point was, how do they ever intend to get the backlog of work done they've got, back Donald Trump, take care of the budget, do all they got to do. When they say there's so much to do, they just can't get to it, Sam, by golly. They're doing their best. Give them time, buddy. They just can't get there. It's like there's too many things to do. They're doing their best. Sam, kind of be soft on them, Sam. Come on. We'll see, everybody says. But I'm telling you, it's a clown show. You're being played, you're being suckered, you're being punked, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I read that Congress is shut down. So I call my senator, and I say, hey, man, are you guys in session today? The staffer, oh, yeah, you bet. I don't really believe it because I see articles saying it isn't true. So then I call my House representative, and I can't get a hold of anybody, and I go around a big old phone tree. I finally press the button that says I'm a staff member, and I get through, okay? So just so you know, the trick is pretend you're a staff member, or you can't even talk to your member of Congress anymore, okay? They work for us, but so I press the staff member button. This guy answers. I said, are you guys in session today? And he goes, oh, no, all the votes are canceled. I said, well, for how long? Oh, the rest of the week. So now we grab this article to make the point from The Hill. James, go ahead and drill into this to make my point.
All right, so this is The Hill, and the headline reads, House cancels rest of votes for week after GOP floor rebellion. So this was datelined yesterday evening, April the 1st. House Republican leaders on Tuesday canceled votes for the rest of the week after a band of GOP lawmakers staged a rebellion on the floor, bringing legislative action to a screeching halt. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer from Minnesota informed lawmakers the next vote in the House would be Monday evening, so that'll be next coming up Monday. The announcement came minutes after 9 Republicans joined all Democrats in opposing a procedural vote that would have killed a bipartisan effort to allow proxy voting for new parents.
Okay, so hold on. Let me stop you there for a second. Now, you understand what all that's about, right?
Well, explain it.
So here's the deal. Because a lot of their congressmen and stuff like that are younger now, they've all got, like, children they're raising. And so what they want to do, because they want to be parents too, I mean, they want to go to Johnny's soccer game, right? But, man, you're stuck in Congress voting and crap. I mean, they don't start till 3 p.m., buddy. So you can't vote. And so they want to vote remotely. And some are saying, no, you can't vote remotely. And they say the new era demands it. And then they say, no, there's a value and a reason we're in the House and we're in person. And so there's a big old debacle about that. So then they get a big old riot from the Florida contingent, and they blow it all up. Democrats vote to shut down the Republicans. Republicans join the Democrats and shut it all down. Mike Johnson gets egg all over his face. And that's what they're about. So even when you find out what they're working on, you go, I don't mean to be rude, but what are you working on that for? Why would you spend any time at all on that when you've got serious issues in front of you? I mean serious. And you're voting on if these younger parents can vote remotely in Congress, and it fails, so you shut down the whole Congress for a week, buddy. But they don't want to shut down government because, by golly, that would be horrible. See? But yet, what issues are they taking on in the next week? All they're doing is twisting arms, going home, playing games, whatever they're doing. But they're not doing the people's business, I can promise you that. You literally get shut down on a sideshow issue like whether young people can vote remotely in Congress. And that's what we're going to spend our time on. Then we're going to shut down government for a whole week when it goes south. But you're never going to get anything done like that, my friend. Never.
The old joke was, thank God they're not in session because they can't do any more damage. I mean, there's probably still some truth to that on some levels. However, if you actually had a serious and functioning government, this would be something that you would frown on, right? Because you're only elected for a short time. I mean, you run for re-election about 75% of the time. You actually got about 25% where you're actually able to focus on issues and not running for re-election, especially if you're in the House, because you got to run like every 2 years. And but you have Representative Anna Paulina Luna. Whatever you do, folks, please don't Google Anna Paulina Luna in a bikini. I'm telling you, you don't want to do that. But she's one of these very young ladies that is in, and she like campaigned for Trump in a bikini. That's why I bring it up. But she's one of the ones that is in the middle of this. She used, as The Hill reads, an arcane and rarely successful discharge petition procedure to force a vote on a resolution to allow members who give birth or lawmakers whose spouses give birth to have another member vote for them for 12 weeks. But amid opposition from MAGA Mike Johnson, who argued that proxy voting is unconstitutional, this whole thing has shut down the government for a week. Okay, that's your point, Sam, right? You're only in there for a short amount of time, and you can't just throw away weeks.
Listen,
it's not like they're there 52 weeks.
If I'm a member of Congress and I get elected, okay, and when I get elected, I'm guaranteed to be there for 2 years unless I'm somehow removed on some other, procedural whatever, etc. Now, how many average days does Congress work per year? Do you have any idea?
That was the thing, because I was just about to say, they're not there 52 weeks a year. Like you would run your business 52 weeks a year. You can't take, months off and things like that. They're back in the district half the time. They're in Washington a little bit. They're not there 52 weeks a year. Not
even close. The number of days Congress works per year can vary quite a bit depending on several factors, including the legislative calendar set at the beginning of each session. They need time for discussion and negotiation and time to spend with their constituents in town hall meetings and travel, etc. Typically, they say the House of Representatives is in session for about 130 to 150 days a year, while the Senate often works a few more days than that, usually around 150, 160, maybe 170 if it gets crazy. So I'm going to use the 150 number because it's 170 at the top for the Senate, 130 at the bottom for the House. It's around 150 days, James. Now,
and they get the base salary is 100.
If you just took off 6 days or 5 days, what do you want to call it? 5 days?
Oh, you're talking about right now, this week?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be 5 or 6. I don't know if they work weekends. It doesn't seem like they work very much.
So 5 days out of 150. I mean, that's already 3% of your working time, right?
Yeah, I've got something right here.
15 days would be 10%. So 5 days is about, 3-4%, whatever you want to, I don't know the exact, but okay, you're already throwing away 3% of your time. Okay, over an issue of whether people should be able to vote on behalf of other people. Why are we even discussing this right now?
It does fluctuate.
Don't we need to stop the border crisis? Don't we need to stand up for Trump and reduce taxes on the American people? Don't we need to codify the shutdown of the education department? Don't we need to? I mean, I can keep going for hours, James. But we're literally on a clown show discussion about whether, let's say you and I are in Congress. My wife has a baby. Can James vote for me? No, against the law. Oh, my gosh, we're going to melt down. We need that to happen. Oh, we're going to have a big old fight, and then we're going to just shut down Congress over the whole thing. Because remember, the Senate can't do anything with any bill unless they get it, if it's a spending bill, from the House, right? So they're stuck too, even if the Senate's in session.
I don't know why, proxy voting's one thing, but I don't see why you can't necessarily vote remotely. I mean, if I'm just thinking about it practically, I mean, a lot of businesses are going that way.
Because you commit fraud when you vote remotely, sir.
Well, I guess you could. Well, I mean, it's not like these representatives are not going to say I voted for this or I didn't vote for this. But to the bigger point of the discussion, I've got it actually pulled up here now. Going back to 2001, Sam, how many days the House was in session, and so it does fluctuate. Here are the numbers going back from 01, 143, 123, 133, 110, 120, 101, 164, 119. So that's like 9 out of 10 under 150 days of the median.
That's
probably.
Right. So it's not even close. So that's why they say the high for the House is 150 days. The low is 130 on the average.
On the average, that's yes. Yep. And then you're blowing a week of it right here.
Yes.
Blowing a week of it. Now, why did they get so upset they couldn't come back? Why did they have to take a full week off because they got so upset about this?
Because Mike Johnson didn't want all the Democrats to go against him, and man, he's ticked now, buddy.
Over whether or not a new parent can cast a vote in a manner that is a little bit untraditional.
That's right.
I mean, I'm a traditionalist to the point where I'm almost a slave to tradition. I don't like anything that's outside the norms, but even on this, I could sort of understand it. I mean, that's not a hill to die on.
So where do we go now?
Well, you're not going anywhere this week. So again, most times it's probably good that Congress is not in session because it's just going to be more of a beatdown, but
Yeah, so
We'll
if you
see.
type in Mike Johnson news, what do you get? Speaker Mike Johnson tries and fails to derail proxy voting for new moms in Congress. MSN. So there you go. Mike Johnson loses battle to limit GOP rebels' power. Mike Johnson cancels votes after suffering Republican rebellion. Oh, it's a rebellion.
I will
to
go
vote
back
the way you
to,
want nowadays, James, is a rebellion, sir.
I can go back to whether the 19th Amendment should be repealed, and I don't know about all these.
Hang
You would
tight.
have this.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcast at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Scott Bradley here. Most Americans are painfully aware that the nation is on the wrong track and in dire straits. Unfortunately, most political pundits only nibble around the edges when they claim to address the issues. Even worse, many of the so-called solutions are simply rewarmed servings of what got us into the mess we currently face. And the politicians think we're so gullible and naive that we'll buy their lies that they have reformed and now understand where they led us astray. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that they simply wish to continue to hold power. The solution to America's challenges is found in returning to the timeless principles found in the United States Constitution. My book and lecture series will reawaken in Americans an understanding and love of the principles which made this nation the freest, most prosperous, happiest, and most respected nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com and order my book and lectures to begin the restoration of this great nation.
All right, bottom line, Mike Johnson suffers a defeat on this. He's in a big old battle with Luna. They say the Republicans, the Florida contingent, literally rebelled. And Mike doesn't like it, so he shut down Congress for a week. They're only in office like an average of 130 days per year. 140, okay? And these clowns literally shut down for a whole week because Mike Johnson was challenged. How dare you vote your conscience and challenge the speaker? Don't you know that's a rebel move, James?
Yeah, well, a lot of times they need it. But again, I just
they need
question
to impeach
this.
Mike Johnson immediately.
One question I've got is, how did Congress ever function before women were involved? This was a problem. You wouldn't have had these expectant mothers back in the days where, it was just men in Congress. Is that really a worse time? Are we really better off now with this added thing into the mix? And I get the dads want to go home. I always thought that was kind of funny. Maternity leave was one thing. Obviously that's well and good.
I don't believe in either of them. I believe you should get a few days off and that's it. Period.
The paternity leave now, where the dads go home, for a couple of weeks or a month,
20
like
weeks,
moms.
yeah.
And yeah. So again, were we really better off when Congress was a man's game? I don't think so. Or were we worse off, fundamentally because of that? No.
Are we better off because we have women there now? And the answer is I don't think so.
No.
And I understand the point. And it's not against women voting. It has to do with the family. The family is the fundamental unit of society. And right now, basically, what you have is you have all these people paralyzed in Congress. They can't vote their conscience, so they're considered rebels. And then, you got a situation where, hey, we're going to shut down Congress for a whole week. And I'm just telling you right now, if Congress is going to shut down for a whole week over this, what basically Mike Johnson is hoping to do is show his power, his raw power. And the message is, don't you dare cross me. Do you realize who I am? I'm the Speaker of the House, and I'm like a god. And so House Republican leaders on Tuesday canceled votes for the rest of the week after a band of GOP lawmakers staged a, quote, rebellion on the floor. Now, I don't understand why it's a rebellion. Is it a rebellion to vote the way you want to, James? I mean, look, let's put it up for a vote, and we just vote up and down. Either I'm for it or I'm against it. Don't I have that freedom to do that or not really?
That is funny that they would call it that because there's
and if I vote against what Mike Johnson wants, am I the rebellious one or is he? Because he doesn't like my vote, so he's going to shut me down, shut the whole Congress down. And then what's going to happen behind the scenes? Sam, that committee you were hoping for, buddy, I just don't know. You're on this committee. Sam, I think we need to remove you from this committee. I think, and what we're doing is we're playing games with power and greed at the expense of the whole Trump initiative. Am I wrong?
That is actually something, if I can pull it up here, that Steve King said in one of our interviews.
Well,
that
Steve
was
King's right.
Just really good. I've actually got it right here, and this is what he said. This is how Congress works. So listen to this, folks. This is coming from Steve King, 18 years in Congress, and he said this, and I've got the transcript here. Generally speaking, when freshmen arrive, they come in with ideals, objectives, and goals, believing that they can achieve them. However, when I was first elected, I went through 11 days of what they call orientation, which consisted of about 4 days of actual orientation and 7 days of indoctrination. Listen to this. This is inside stuff, folks. This is an 18-year, almost 2 decades he spent in Congress, and he was one of the most frequently covered Republicans in Congress. And he said during this time, they emphasize what you should never do, which helps them maintain control over you. Additionally, they insisted that you need to raise money because you can't change the world if you don't return next time. This kind of manipulation continues to build and intensify as time goes on.
I can change the world if I take action and vote within the 2 years that I've got, within the 130 days if I use them wisely. Don't tell me I can't affect change. I absolutely can.
And he goes on. I mean, this is inside information about how it works. And you wonder, well, why my congressman or congresswoman doesn't do more when they get up here? Well, Steve King's telling you exactly how it works in Washington. He says, I remember the class election of 2010. I was walking to an event one evening early in the session with a freshman. He mentioned, well, I got appointed to the Rules Committee, and I'm pretty happy about that assignment. And Steve King said, I replied, oh, well, you should be happy, I guess. You get to vote the way the leadership tells you on the Rules Committee. And Steve says it's the Speaker's Rules Committee, and that's how it's always been. And the freshman congressman said, oh, no, they tell me I can vote my conscience. This is exactly what we're talking about, Sam. They tell me I can vote my conscience. I'm a free man, and if I do good on the Rules Committee, I'll be able to get on the Ways and Means Committee in a couple of years, and that's my ultimate goal. If you do good on the
Rules Committee.
And then Steve King says you fast forward 10 years, and this guy is still on the Rules Committee voting the way the leadership wants him to vote. That's kind of what happens to a lot of them, he said. And his book, you can get it at steveking.com. This isn't a paid plug or anything, but it's a good book. And he says it really, his book goes into the inner workings of Congress and helps American citizens understand how devious the leadership can be and why some representatives never let the people's voice be heard.
Well, that's my point. We've got this short window. Mike Johnson's blowing it. When's the pushback to replace Mike Johnson? I mean, Trump backed Mike. That's why he's speaker right now. Why are we letting Mike Johnson be the speaker when he failed all last year? He took over from McCarthy and then failed all last year. We put him in place again. What for? This is the guy that knew Joe Biden was incompetent a year ago, knowing full well that he wasn't capable of running the government, but he kept his mouth shut, didn't tell the American people, didn't let us know, allowed Trump to struggle against a hostile press while Joe Biden got the special treatment, dishonest as all get out. He knew better. Not only did he let him finish out his current term, but he was going to let him run for another term without saying a word, right? So I don't mean to be rude, folks, but I'm just telling you right now, unless we the people demand something different, you are going to see an absolute Republican go down in flames. And when I say a Republican, I mean a Republican-led leadership ideologically go down in flames. Trump's doing a great job providing leadership, but he's being absolutely slow-walked and literally drowned by the deep state. And you can say, Sam, you're too harsh, buddy. I don't think so. I just see the writing on the wall before others. And if you don't believe me, paralyzing Congress for a week over something as little as this? Why are we even bringing this up for a vote? Of all the things we could bring up for a vote, why are we bringing this up anyway, James? Does it have any effect on the outcome for the American people? Any of these critical components Donald Trump's highlighted? A single one of them?
Yeah, well, I think he's definitely got a better handle on Washington than he did his first term.
Trump does. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Congress, though. Are they acting to back any single initiative that he's focused on?
Well, they can't. How can they when they're not? When they can't even come to work.
Yeah, I know, but when they were at work on Monday, Tuesday, whatever you want to say, okay, and they're working on this legislation to go ahead and let people vote, by proxy or whatever else. I mean, is that one of the big things Trump was pushing on? We got to get that done.
Yeah. No, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of
clown show side issue that nobody even cares about.
Most of the good that Trump has done or has tried to do has come through the executive branch. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. All right. Here's the next headline. This is interesting because you're ready to write checks to your farmer buddies. Here it is. Expensive bailout for farmers may, loom, they say. It may loom as farmers deal with an expanded trade war. Tony Rahm with the story. Ahead of President Trump's, quote, plan to impose sweeping tariffs across the globe, his administration is weighing a new round of emergency aid to farmers who are likely to be caught in the middle with America's trade war if other countries decide they're going to retaliate. What do you think of that, James? We're now ready to start handing out money to farmers.
It's well, speaking of handouts, I was going to say more gridlock, more money. If the money printing machines are printing money in our direction, is that okay?
No.
Do we? Are we going to get?
Hold on. No. We're not communist and we're not socialist. And the answer is stealing is stealing is stealing. And even if you steal from James and send it to Sam, Sam's going to tell you it's wrong and you shouldn't steal from James. I don't want to do well on James's suffering.
We certainly need to eat, and if somebody has to be given, well, you could call it either. It's interesting when you use words how it can frame a story. You can call it a handout or a little government benevolence, but I'd rather see it go to farmers than the welfare queens and the illegal aliens.
If we're going to steal, let's at least steal for a good cause. I get it. But they say early discussions offer a tacit acknowledgement that Mr. Trump's expansive tariffs could unleash financial devastation throughout the U.S. agricultural industry, a crucial voting base that the president similarly tried to safeguard during his first administration in 2018 during that trade war with China. So I look at this and I just go, okay, why are we leading with tariffs and then going to give the farmers a break? Why don't we decrease taxes for the American people and get rid of the IRS or do something that can let farmers survive? No wonder farmers can't survive. You can't export your products now because there's massive tariffs and retaliation. You can't import stuff because there's tariffs and it's crazy. And all this is piled on top of all the other taxes. Buddy, somebody's got to come to Washington with some common sense or we're just doomed, my friend. And I know this broadcast seems so negative, but folks, we have a window right now. And if we do not take advantage of that window, I don't know that we'll get a chance in modern times again, James, like we've got today.
You've got some momentum right now, and making hay while the sun shines is always good advice. But again, when you're up against the federal judges, you're up against a listless Congress. It's difficult, and some of the enthusiasm that at least I felt, and I'm sure a lot of people felt in late January, early February, is starting to temper itself a little bit.
I think I warned about that then, James.
Well, I'm still high on the things he's trying to do, at least the president. But in terms
I support the things he's trying to do. Now, what do we need to do? What do we in Talk Radio need to do to help him get those things done? That's the real question for the whole 2-hour show. What do we need to do in Talk Radio to help Donald Trump get his initiatives done? James can respond on the other side. You're listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Ernst. The Biden-era corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been tossed out. A New York federal judge dismissed the case at the Justice Department's request. Adams, seeking re-election, has maintained his innocence. The judge's decision comes 3 months before a primary that will likely choose the city's next mayor. A liberal Democrat has won a state Supreme Court race that has national implications. Susan Crawford defeating Republican Brad Schimmel in the Wisconsin Supreme Court contest, which captured nationwide attention and record-breaking donations.
President Trump, Elon Musk, and other Republicans lined up behind Schimmel. Billionaire megadonor George Soros and other Democrats back Crawford. Her win keeps the state court under a 4-3 liberal majority. Schimmel is a former state attorney general and a supporter of President Trump.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart says Crawford has vowed to gerrymander congressional districts to favor the Democrats. Votes in the House will have to wait till next week after a handful of Republicans aligned with Democrats against allowing a vote on GOP legislation.
The Republicans sided with Democrats against a procedural rule that would have allowed debate and votes to proceed on 2 key GOP bills this week. One would have prevented district court judges from imposing nationwide injunctions. The other would require proof of citizenship for those wishing to vote. The mutiny comes after disagreement about a proposal to change the rules and allow members who are parents of newborns to vote remotely. Bob Agnew reporting.
President Trump set to announce a major new round of tariffs later today. The death toll from last week's powerful earthquake that hit Myanmar continues to rise as more bodies are pulled from the rubble of collapsed buildings. Myanmar's military government reports the quake claimed more than 3,000 lives. Turnaround on Wall Street. Stocks now higher. The Dow is up 66 points. The Nasdaq ahead 6. The S&P 6 points higher as well. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Financing a home, especially in today's market, is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your family. Work with a mortgage company that puts you first. I do. Work with a lender founded on biblical principles like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I do. It's Mike Gallagher for the only mortgage company I've used for almost a decade now when financing or refinancing Fellowship Home Loans. I'm friends with the owners, Mike and Brian. I even have them on my show occasionally. I know the care their team puts into every single customer. I can personally tell you that it's a smooth, stress-free process, and that's due to Fellowship's level of service and expertise that puts you in the right loan for your family and your goals. There's a reason Fellowship Home Loans is flooded with 5-star reviews. Whether purchasing a home or a cash-out refi to consolidate some higher interest debt, you can trust Fellowship Home Loans. Start the process. Make the call. 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt. And there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Always an honor to be a guest on Sam Bushman's Liberty Roundtable, and always a privilege to be able to bring you back from break on said show. James Edwards, along with the one and only Sam Bushman, and we've been covering a lot of ground, as he always does on this program. With regards to farmers, it boggles the mind. I really do not see, you got billions of people in the world, how there are enough animals and enough land to produce enough food to feed everybody. But, of course, I don't know how we connect to each other in the studio either, so just because my meager understanding can't wrap itself around these things doesn't mean it's not true. But that is really something. Think about feeding all of the world 3 times a day. That is a lot of produce. But Sam asked me before the break what more we could or should be doing to help Trump or to help advance our ideas, not necessarily the man, but through him, hopefully, our ideas into the public square and with the government. And it's an interesting question, because what more can we do than what we have been doing on the radio for the past 20 and 30 years respectively, and that is tell the truth in love and support initiatives that are, we believe, to be God-ordained and what's best for Americans, and support any politician, whether it be Trump or whomever, when they are doing what's right, and taking them to task when they do what's wrong. It's Trump has a problem, I think, maybe everybody does, and politicians certainly seem to have this problem, and Trump is not exempt from this. He has a problem sometimes identifying friend from enemy. Certainly we could do more if we were more on the inside, and he still invites, the NBCs and the legacy media to cover him, and he has done a little bit better this time than the first time. He's got some more milquetoast conservatives, people from the Daily Wire and things like that are part of his entourage now. But, you can do more with more from the people you're trying to help. But other than that, we've done a lot to help Trump. Just ask the media, and we'll see where that goes. Now, as far as what Trump himself should be doing, I mean, it's hard to really correct problems like we've got in this government unless you're Caesar. I mean, you would need to be a Caesar almost to really arrest these things that have been building up for generations and decades. A lot of necessary things are happening because Trump is president. I mean, again, just firing leftist FBI agents, dismantling DEI programs, attempts to end the left-wing patronage system known as U.S. aid. I say attempts because despite the express authorization of the elected president of the United States, unelected judges, as we've been talking about, have fabricated legal rationale to shut all of this down, and many other important Trump administration priorities like reducing immigration and downsizing the federal bureaucracy, and an electoral system that we have here permanently thwarts, basically the will of the American people. It is fully exposed for all to witness, and we're seeing that again now. I think now more so than even in the first few weeks of his administration. So I would say this, Sam, and you will probably disagree with me on some of this, but here's some things that Trump should do. What we can do what we can do, but we're not the president. And I say he's only the president, and he's got a lot of people because of this.
What if enough Americans pushed these issues? What if enough Americans literally stood up and said, how dare you, Mike Johnson, take a week off? You do that, buddy, and you're fired. What if 10 million Americans said that?
You would have enough people. I mean, this is, again, you've got all the fish in the net, and they're all pulling in different directions. If they work together, they could buzz through. And you could say that about these deportations. How dare this federal judge, stop 350,000 criminal illegal aliens from being shipped back home to
Hey, man, we got
Venezuela.
20 million of them illegally in the country.
Here's what I say Trump should do, and I think he could do this with the will of the people. I don't think the people who voted for Trump would be opposed to anything I'm going to say, although some of it is, perhaps debatably extra legal. But you got to consolidate power and remove everyone, and I mean everyone in the government who's not 100% loyal to the program. And that includes the Republican Party as well. And you've got Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. He's enormously popular with the military. You got to remove all the disloyal actors from the armed forces too. You got to identify this national crisis under the Insurrection Act, or you can declare a state of emergency. But perhaps over the long-standing invasion of our southern border, restore order in these democratic strongholds of the country where these foreign invaders are giving illegal sanctuary. You were talking about that earlier, and who knows if they're voting or not, but they probably are. Commence these mass deportations at all costs. You have to. I know this is where Republicans are timid to trod. You have to just do what you have to do, regardless of what one of these 677 federal judges say. That is my opinion. Now, that is where you would see real change if you just run through and plow through. That's what Andrew Jackson would do, all right? And
I think there's some truth to that. I think these judges have no right. Look, the Supreme Court isn't the decider of everything. I know people believe that it is, but they're wrong. Oftentimes we have to make constitutional decisions before we ever even get to the Supreme Court. Or sometimes the Supreme Court decides not to take up an issue. There's still a constitutional reality to it. So here's the question for you.
Yeah.
Is the U.S. headed for a recession?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I could make an argument either way for that. I mean, certainly, at some point it's going to be tough to keep up with inflation and the rising cost of living in some parts of the country. Again, it's already a struggle down here with the cost of food and the cost of housing and the cost of, really everything. It very well could be. It very well could be. And if that happens, then Trump's going to be cooked in the midterms, because that, as you said earlier in the program, is more important than anything.
I'm afraid that's going to happen, though. You just cannot pile all these taxes and this and that and continue to spend the money that you're spending. I mean, what's really changed? A lot of rhetoric, a lot of good temporary moves by the president, but Congress has got to codify it. All right, here's the next thing. Ron Paul emailed me from campaignforliberty.org and said, Sam, great news, buddy. It's happening. I want you to tell us what's happening, and then I want the reality on it now.
All right, I have not read this email yet, but I have it right here, and I will tell you what it reads. Great news, Ron Paul's people, right? Thanks to your continued pressure, House Resolution 1919, which would ban the central bank digital currency, is moving forward in the House of Representatives.
Okay,
keep reading. The CBDC, Anti-Surveillance State Act, is scheduled for action in committee tomorrow, April 2nd. Well, this was written yesterday.
That's
today, that's before they. Yes, right. This email was sent yesterday. He's talking about the day, but they're out to lunch for.
So the headline says it's happening, not.
Well, I guess at the time of the writing, they maybe.
I'm not down on Ron Paul, and I'm not down on President Trump. President Trump says he'll sign it and everything else. I think this is a good bill. We got to get it done. But we got derailed over a clown act. Intentionally so, by the deep state thugs that want to shut down Trump. Mike Johnson being chief among them.
It says
I'm saying to you right now, we had good news in the pipeline. I wish we were voting on this bill to stop the CDBC right now. We don't need digital currency, James. We don't need federal fiat, control of your currency. Because what they'll say is, you've been pretty positive on the Donald, so your money will be worth quite a bit. Let's say you and I both have the same amount in our bank accounts. They can adjust what your money's worth based on your, quote, credit score. It comes out of China. This behavior score, they're going to say, James, you're pretty positive on the Donald today, so your money's worth this much. Sam, you've been pretty negative, buddy. You're just a sinister sucker. Your money's only worth half of what James's is worth today, right? They can do that kind of stuff with the new digital currency plan.
I can remember driving through when I was a teenager, and the first time I ever went through a fast food place, and they took credit cards. Okay, I'm old enough to remember that. I'm sure a lot of people listening. If I'm old enough, a lot of y'all are too. I'll be 45 this summer. But I can remember now, and just thinking how ridiculous that was. I mean, now it's just so commonplace. I mean, and of course I pay for stuff with debit and credit cards now, even small purchases. But back then, my thinking was, you only financed something if it was like a big ticket purchase. Maybe a TV or some furniture, things like that. With a credit card. And I was thinking, like, man, how bad off must people be if they have to finance a hamburger? And I get it. Now it's just commonplace and people don't think like that anymore. But I do not like all of this move from to a cashless society. I don't like that at all. I mean, they are doing away with cash. And so I didn't even like it, Sam, when credit cards and debit cards sort of started to get the gain, get used more often than cash. So I certainly don't like digital currency.
That's right. So anyway, we can't even shut down the digital currency now because Congress is sidelined. Now, as the move to defund Planned Parenthood is more urgent, Senator Joni Ernst introduces bill to do just that, shut down Planned Parenthood. But now that's all on hold, too. See? You can't do that.
I'll be on hold till Monday.
So now I want you to look up something, James.
All right.
We're doing this live real time on the radio. This is really interesting. Here's the headline. There's a company that creates made-to-order crowds, James, for political protests. Go to crowdsondemand.com for me, will you?
Again, folks, live and in real time.
Crowdsondemand.com. This is interesting. I'm doing this on purpose to James. Because here's what I'm thinking we need to do. We probably need to hire a crowd on demand and go to Washington and demand Congress go back to work.
Oh, this is good. I mean, I have heard about this in theory, and I knew that it existed, but I didn't know you could just actually go to a website and just order up your crowd like you're ordering a takeout.
James,
this is awesome,
can't, buddy. Hold on, you can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're a racist. You're a white. You're a Trump supporter. I don't. You're MAGA. I don't know what even to call you anymore. You're just so. I mean, you're a deplorable. Okay, they won't work for you, James.
Wow, I'm looking at this. Well, yeah, it looks like one of the posters has all them with the Che Guevara or the Black Power clenched fist.
Yeah, buddy. Those are the people that can hire a rent-a-riot, buddy. You can't, bro.
That is obviously what has been going on. I mean, I knew that, but I thought that it was just through, back channels. People like Soros could do this, but I didn't know it was like a retail.
Right in your face, buddy.
I
now, here's the
didn't know
question: you had the riots of these last summers that we all point to, Charlottesville, on down to the riots and the Chaz and all. Okay, how come we haven't traced the money, and how come Congress hasn't started an investigation into this group? Crowdsondemand.com. When there's literally a company that says, we'll do this for you right now, buddy.
I got to read this. I got to read this for the folks.
Yeah, they start at 20 grand, so you got to put in some cash and get it rolling, James.
Damn. Well, no wonder we haven't done it. But this is interesting because we always knew that was going on. We always knew that these were manufactured crowds. Now, once something starts, obviously.
And people are like, Sam, just give Congress some time. They're working on it, buddy. Give them a little grace, Sam. Come on.
You're gonna have, once something like this is artificially manufactured, you're gonna have people from the general public fall in line. Like, a lot of these people who just wanted to come out to loot and riot. I mean, some of those were legitimate looters and rioters. Once they saw a free pass was being given, they joined the fun. But I think that initial core in these things was always a paid-for deal. I just thought this was just like back channel, high-level stuff. But I didn't know you could just go to a retail site and just dial it up. But here it is. Crowdsondemand.com is your home for impactful advocacy campaigns, demonstrations, PR stunts, crowds for hire, and corporate events. Services available nationwide. And it says here, whether your organization is lobbying to gain approval for a political project, move forward a legislative initiative, bring additional pressure within complex litigation, or trying to see swift and effective action in another way.
Yeah, like maybe bringing Congress back to work because we're running out of time faster than we think and we're wasting our time, that kind of stuff, you mean?
Well, but this is something really profound here, Sam. I'll read one more sentence, and it just says, we can set up protest rallies, demonstrations, alternatives to litigation, or business disputes.
Yeah, we can pull off Charlottesville and hose the conservatives, and then we'll never get the record straight, so the victors will write the history. You'll all go to jail, and we'll just run another riot tomorrow.
This is
Congress
very
won't look
interesting.
into it because they're taking off because they're mad because they can't vote remote, or they can't have a proxy voter kind of thing. So we're just shut down there. Yeah.
People always ask me, well, why don't our people just get out and get in the streets like that? And I said, my honest answer, my honest answer was our people have to work for a living. And the other side doesn't, but it was even
right now.
I wasn't even right. I said our people work for a living and the other side doesn't, but that wasn't even right. They actually were getting paid to do it. And
right.
When you see big
they just
crowds,
have different work than you do, buddy.
When you see big crowds, apparently rallying for some sort of a issue, that absolutely does sway public opinion. The media covers it. Oh, wow, it's popular. Everybody, sort of wants to drift along with the rising tide and go along with the flow. So when you see these huge animated crowds, boisterous crowds doing something that has the ability to impact the way politicians react and all kinds of things, but it's all fake. It's all fake.
No,
fake.
dude, it's not fake. People are getting paid to be there and riot, just like
that's
the contract
fake.
says.
Well, that's not a legitimate outpouring of popular demand or expression. This is just people showing up.
It's just done by proxy, James. Hold on. They want to vote in Congress by proxy. If you don't want to go riot because you want to go to work, all you got to do is fund your own riot pool, and then you don't need to go out in the streets. The guys will do it on your behalf. What's wrong with that, James?
I'm at the request a quote page.
Crowds on demand, buddy. I'm telling you, it starts at $20,000.
It says it. Please note, we do not take on customers with an event budget under $20,000.
Yeah, see.
Oh, well, wow. So here are the tiers. $20,000 to $50,000. That's the lowest level tier, and it goes up to $1 million plus.
Yeah.
They have the $500,000 to $1 million. So
I got a question. If we had all this rioting across the country, and there's literally websites promoting crowdsondemand.com. How come Congress hasn't investigated these people and their ties to the riots that have taken place, like in Charlottesville and elsewhere?
This is the best
Everybody
part
runs
of the show,
around and says, Sam, we can't find out. George Soros has dark secret money going on, and we don't know what's happening. And we think that they're paid protesters from out of town, but we can't be sure, Sam. It's really convoluted. And I just go, duh, really? Go to crowdsondemand.com. It's there, The next question is this: how come we don't have an organization like this? They won't let you crank up a campaign because they don't believe in your cause, James. However, how come we don't have a conservative rent a riot or a conservative crowds on demand thing? How come? See, we're left in the dust.
I got an answer.
Bigly, pardon the pun. Bigly.
I got a bigly answer for you on that. Is that our richest people don't donate?
Of course not.
I get more. We get more. I know a lot of millionaires. For the size of our program, a lot of millionaires.
For better or for worse, we know lots of millionaires. Yeah,
and I consistently, and for us, $100 contribution is really big. That always triggers some sort of a letter or a gift in return. I mean, I always want to thank people, but most of our stuff is under $100. And it's the painters, it's the plumbers, it's the people like that, the blue collar. Working class folks that consistently give $100, $250, and the big money people on our side don't really do that, or if they do that, they do it for the people who don't really need it. They'll send it to Trump or somebody like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of grassroots activism.
By the way, did the media people call you? You signed up for the new media stuff. Did they give you a ring and said, James, we're bringing you in?
No, and you know what, Sam? I actually I thought one time it might have just slipped through the cracks, so I did it again just as a redundancy, and that one slipped through the cracks too.
Yeah, they're too busy sending you emails, letting you win a lottery if you give them more money, right?
Or go eat with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. But this thing here is this is the left putting their money where their mouth is. They don't have a problem dropping anywhere between $20,000 and $1 million to coordinate a stunt that helps move their issues forward, even if it's not popular with the public. If it appears to be popular, perception is the ultimate reality. There's truth in that. And I would be very interesting to know how many times these crowds were absolutely just paid actors, but paid actors who have an effect on the way things go politically and culturally.
Well, I got good news to end the hour, James. With all this going on and with as frustrating as it is, I know people are like, Sam, you're just beating a dead horse on this thing. And my response is, I don't think so. Why do I say that? Because we've got a limited time to do something, and we better figure out what we're going to do. Are we going to just sit back and let our opportunities slip away? Or are we going to basically, hey, rent a crowd? Crowds on demand. What are we going to do with the limited time we have left? And I'm telling you right now, Mike Johnson is slow walking and trying to destroy all of Trump's efforts. I'm telling you right now. But here's the good news. You remember the guy that went on when Donald Trump gave his speech before Congress, the 13-year-old cancer victim or cancer survivor? His name is DJ Daniel. Remember that kid?
Oh, yeah, of course. The one that they made a Secret Service agent.
Yeah. So he did get sworn in as a Secret Service agent. I had his father on with us yesterday. DJ's proud father. And he was on with us, and we're working with him now. We're going to be doing some interesting things together. James, I can't give you the whole story yet, but we're going to be working with him and his dad.
That is super cool. I was out yesterday with my family all day, so I missed the show yesterday, which I typically don't do. If I don't catch it live, I normally listen to it while I'm working in my office, have it playing in the archive. I missed that entirely, Sam, so thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
And if I didn't know it, maybe there's some other listeners.
Him and his family are trying to do quite a bit. Trump's done a lot with him. We just need Congress to get involved in meaningful ways. And I'm telling you right now, we better think of a new plan, whether it be in talk radio, whether it be our organizations, whether it be demanding Congress go back to work. I mean, the idea that Congress is not going back to work, they're going to shut down for a whole week over this, is absolute insanity. Trump should be going ballistic. Have you even heard anything from Trump about it?
Have not. I missed that one.
They're just whistling past the graveyard there, James, and we're just going, give them some time, because it's really tough up there in Washington, D.C. It's really hard up there. I mean, they got more to do than you can imagine. They're busy up there. You know, they're busy up there.
But, I mean, what would you do if you were up there?
If I was in Congress?
Well, Congress or the president. I mean, what could you do as a single individual? As a
single individual, I would basically I would hold press conference after press conference after press conference, demanding the people demand Congress get back in session immediately. You don't have time to waste. You've got things to do. I need you to get back in session. Mike Johnson's suspending all this. We need to put so much pressure on Mike, he changes his mind, and you clowns go back to work tomorrow.
Well, you know, and Ron Paul was good at that. I mean, Ron Paul was not the boy who cried wolf, but I mean, he was just telling the truth at every turn, and then, you know, he was just one. He was just one. But I mean, that's what one can do. If one can be two, and two can be 10.
But we're in a different time right now, though. How many congressmen or senators could I get with me to back this play? It's like, why are we in recess? Why are we going to just shut down for 6 days over this stupid fight over whether people can vote by proxy or not?
That is honestly.
I mean, we have got to absolutely have the nation go ballistic and say, no, we're not letting you do that. We've got a lot of work for the American people that needs to be done. Start with taxes. Start with balancing the budget. Start with, look, in 6 months, you're going to owe a big old bit. What about the debt ceiling coming up? Aren't we going to hit the debt ceiling in a couple of days?
Yeah, they keep kicking the can down the road on that one weeks at a time.
We, the people, have got to demand it stops. So, I mean, maybe if I'm single-handed, maybe I just need to basically shut down my radio network, put all my money into rent-a-riots, James. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, how would you employ a rent-a-riot
all over the country? What do you think?
How would you employ that? I mean, what would you use them for? They wouldn't work with us, but if you could.
I would literally get a bunch of people to go out in front of the Congress building right now, the House, and demand they go back in session. What if you brought 1 million people to the doors of Congress and said, we need you people to get back in session immediately. You're wasting the people's time, and we'll fire you next election if you don't. What if 1 million people did that?
You're a hard case for them being in session. I have to wonder if them being out of session is not better for us. I say that joking.
If your goal is to reduce taxes, the longer they're sitting around doing nothing, the less likely taxes will be reduced.
Well, I guess you have a puncher's chance.
If you want Trump's initiatives to be codified, the sooner Congress gets it done, the better. Without it, Trump's done.
That is the difference this time, is there's at least a puncher's chance that if they follow Trump's lead, some good will be done, whereas with...
That's right, and that's why I'm advocating. I'm not trashing Trump.
If it was Biden in there, I would say let him stay gone as long as they want.
By all means. By all means, but if we want some positive initiatives, Ron Paul had a great example of something that we could get done, right? And he was celebrating that we're going to get it done. Finally. Almost got me. We're not getting it done. So I'm just telling you, people need to think about this. Where's the American think tank like Sam Bushman? Who's even thinking like me about solutions to this? Everybody else is like, sit back and wait and see. No. You got to take action, folks, and you got to do it peacefully, and you got to do it now. It is a culture war, but it's beyond that. It's a war between right and wrong, good and evil. And you better stand on the side of good. We've got limited time, and we're wasting it. Big time. That's my whole point of the 2 hours. What are we going to do about it, huh? The criminal's creed. What are you going to do about it? I'm Sam Bushman. Thanks, James Edwards, thepoliticalcesspool.org. God save the Republic.